The moon was cold and dead, but the people inside Research Station Horizon 7 were alive with purpose. Dr. Una Park stood at her laboratory window, watching the ice storms roll across the surface below. She had been here for 2 years now, studying the strange microbes that lived beneath the frozen crust. It was quiet work, important work, but sometimes she missed the noise of Earth. Behind her, the door opened, and Captain Taeho Kim walked in. He was a tall man, with a soldier's posture. Even though he had left the military 5 years ago, his job was to keep the station safe. But there was not much to keep it safe from. The nearest human colony was 3 weeks away by ship. The nearest alien civilization was even farther. Another quiet day, Taeho said, looking at the data screens on the wall. Una smiled. You sound disappointed. I'm not made for quiet, he admitted. But I suppose that's a good thing. Quiet means everyone is safe. There were 47 people on Horizon 7. Scientists, engineers, technicians, and a small security team. They lived in a metal box, buried in ice at the edge of human space. Most people back on Earth did not even know this place existed. It was just a small dot on a map, forgotten by everyone except the people who called it home. Engineer Jisoo Han was one of those people. She was young, only 26, and this was her first assignment away from Earth. She loved it here. She loved the work, the challenge, the feeling that she was part of something bigger. Right now, she was in the engineering bay, fixing a heating unit that had broken during the night. Got it, she said to herself, as the unit hummed back to life. She wiped her hands on her uniform and smiled. Another problem solved. That was what she was good at. Dr. Minho Choi was in the geology lab, studying rock samples from the moon's core. He was older than most of the crew, a veteran of 3 deep space expeditions. He had seen things that would make younger scientists run home to Earth. But he always came back. The universe was too interesting to stay in one place. The day continued like any other day. People worked, people ate, people talked about their families back home, about the research they were doing, about the dreams they had for the future. No one noticed when the sensors detected something strange in orbit. No one noticed when the station's computer flagged an unknown object approaching. Taeho was in the security office when the alert came through. He stared at the screen for a long moment, not believing what he was seeing. 3 ships had appeared in orbit. They were not human ships. They did not match any design in the database. He reached for the communications panel. Horizon 7 to unidentified vessels. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions. There was no response. The ships just hung there in the darkness, watching. Taeho tried again. This is Captain Taeho Kim of Research Station Horizon 7. We are a peaceful scientific outpost. Please respond. Silence. Then, finally, a voice came through. It was deep and harsh, like stones grinding together. Humans, you will surrender your station and yourselves. You have 1 minute to comply. Resistance will result in your destruction. Taeho felt his blood go cold. He had heard stories about first contact scenarios. He had trained for them. But nothing could prepare him for this moment, for the reality of an alien voice demanding his surrender. This station is under the protection of the United Earth Council, he said, keeping his voice steady. Any hostile action against us will be considered an act of war. I urge you to reconsider. The voice laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. War? You think your Earth can threaten the Verath Dominion? You are insects. You are prey. You have no power here. The transmission ended. Taeho immediately sent out a distress signal toward the nearest relay beacon. He did not know if it would reach Earth. He did not know if anyone would come. But he had to try. The first blast hit the communications array. The entire station shook, and alarms began to scream. Una grabbed the edge of her desk to keep from falling. Around her, equipment crashed to the floor, and the lights flickered. What's happening? Jisoo shouted over the noise. "We're under attack." Taeho's voice came through the intercom. "Everyone to emergency stations. This is not a drill." Minho ran through the corridors toward the geology lab. He had to secure the samples, the data, the years of work. But when he reached the lab, he found the ceiling had collapsed. Everything was buried under twisted metal and ice. The bombardment continued for 20 minutes. Plasma fire rained down from orbit, tearing through the station's shields like they were paper. Taeho gathered his security team and prepared to defend the main entrance. They had weapons, but they were meant for emergencies, not for war. They were scientists, guarding scientists. They were not soldiers. Then the ground troops came. The Verath were tall and covered in dark scales. They moved fast, faster than humans, and they carried weapons that glowed with blue energy. Taeho and his team fought back with everything they had. They held the entrance for almost an hour, but there were too many. Taeho took a shot to the chest. He fell against the wall, breathing hard, watching as his team was overwhelmed. Jisoo dragged him behind a barricade, tears streaming down her face. "Stay with me, Captain," she said. "Help is coming. Help has to be coming." But Taeho knew the truth. Help was too far away. No one was coming. In her laboratory, Yuna worked frantically at her terminal. The main communications array was destroyed, but she had an idea. She could use the backup system to send a compressed signal through the emergency beacon. It would be fragmented, incomplete, but maybe it would be enough. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as explosions shook the station around her. She could hear the Verath getting closer, their heavy footsteps echoing through the corridors. She had minutes, maybe less. The signal went out just as the door to her lab exploded inward. The battle ended 2 hours after it began. 26 humans were dead, including Captain Taeho Kim. 21 were taken prisoner, including Yuna, Jisoo, and Minho. The Verath rounded them up and marched them through the ruins of their home, past the bodies of their friends. The Verath commander was called Supreme Krell. He was larger than the others, with scars covering his face and arms. He looked at the human prisoners with disgust. "Weak," he said. "Your kind is weak. You do not deserve the stars." He activated a communication device and broadcast a message to the galaxy. "This is Supreme Krell of the Verath Dominion. We have destroyed a human outpost and taken prisoners. Let this be a lesson to all who would challenge our power. Humanity is nothing. They are prey, and we are the hunters." The transmission ended. Krell turned to his soldiers. "Take them to the ships. We will bring them back to Verath Prime as trophies." Yuna was pushed forward with the others. Her hands were bound, and her body ached from a dozen wounds. But as she walked, she thought about the signal she had sent. She thought about Earth, about the people who would receive that message. The Verath thought they had won. They thought they had proven humanity was weak. They were wrong. They just did not know it yet. 3 days later, a fragmented distress signal arrived at a relay station on the edge of human space. It was forwarded to Earth, to the Unified Defense Command, in Seoul, and everything changed. Admiral Sujin Lee was in her office when the message came. She had been reviewing fleet reports, the same routine work she did every morning. Then her screen flashed red, and the words, "Priority Alpha" appeared. She had not seen those words in 15 years. She opened the file and watched the fragmented transmission play. It was broken, filled with static and gaps, but she understood enough. A research station. An attack. Aliens. Casualties. She reached for her communicator. "Get me Director Baek. Now." Director Hyunwoo Baek was the head of interstellar intelligence. He was a careful man who spent his life studying threats that most people did not know existed. When he arrived at Sujin's office, his face was already grave. He had seen the message too. "Horizon 7, he said, sitting down across from her. 47 personnel. Scientific mission. Studying microbial life. They were not supposed to be in danger. Do we know who attacked them? Sujin asked. Hyunwoo pulled up a file on his tablet. Based on the ship designs in the transmission, we believe it was the Varath Dominion. They control 12 star systems in the outer regions. Militant empire. They have conquered every species they have encountered. And now they have encountered us. Yes. And based on their history, they believe they have already won. Sujin stood and walked to the window. Seoul stretched out below her, millions of people living their lives, unaware of what had happened on a frozen moon light years away. But they would know soon. Everyone would know. How many dead? She asked quietly. We don't have exact numbers, but the transmission mentioned casualties, significant casualties. Sujin closed her eyes. She thought about the people on that station. Scientists, engineers, people who had gone to the edge of space to learn, to discover, to expand humanity's knowledge. And now they were dead or captured because an alien empire decided they were prey. Call an emergency meeting, she said. All senior commanders. And contact the Chancellor. Chancellor Eunji Kang was the leader of the United Earth Council. She was a diplomat by training, a woman who believed in negotiation and cooperation. But she was also a realist. She understood that some problems could not be solved with words. The emergency meeting took place 3 hours later in the Council's secure chamber. Around the table sat the most powerful people on Earth: admirals, generals, intelligence directors, and political leaders. They watched the transmission from Horizon, 7 inches silence. When it ended, no one spoke for a long moment. General Dong Ho Shin broke the silence. He was the commander of Earth's ground forces, a man known for his aggressive strategies and his refusal to back down from any fight. We know what we need to do, he said. We hit them back. We hit them hard. We show them what happens when they attack our people. And start a war? Asked one of the council members. We know nothing about their military strength. We could be sending our forces into a trap. We're already at war, Dong Ho replied. They started it. The only question is how we finish it. Director Hyunwoo raised his hand. I have additional intelligence. Supreme Krell, the commander who led the attack, broadcast a message to the galaxy. He called humanity weak. He said we were prey. The room went quiet again. Sujin could feel the anger building around the table. It was one thing to be attacked. It was another to be mocked. Chancellor Eunji spoke for the first time. What are our options? Sujin stood and activated the holographic display in the center of the table. A map of the galaxy appeared, with human space highlighted in blue and Varath space in red. We have 3 options, she said. First, we do nothing. We protest through diplomatic channels and hope they release our people. Based on Varath history, this will not work. They have never shown mercy to conquered species. Second option? The Chancellor asked. Limited response. We send a small force to rescue the prisoners and destroy the ships that attacked us. This shows we can fight back, but it might not be enough to deter future attacks. And the third? Sujin looked around the table. Full response. We mobilize the Deep Space Fleet and strike their homeworld. We destroy their military capacity completely. We make it clear that any attack on human territory will be answered with overwhelming force. Dong Ho nodded. The third option. It's the only one. That makes sense. It's also the most dangerous, Hyunwoo said. If we fail, we will have made a powerful enemy and shown them our weakness. Then we don't fail, Sujin said simply. The debate continued for hours. Some argued for caution. Some argued that the attack on Horizon 7 was an isolated incident and that negotiation might still be possible. But as the hours passed, the voices for action grew stronger. Finally, Chancellor Eunji called for a vote. One by one, the council members gave their decision. When it was done, the result was unanimous. Operation Silent Thunder was approved. Sujin left the meeting and went directly to Fleet Command. She had work to do. Within hours, orders were going out to ships across human space. 200 warships were being mobilized. Crews were being called back from leave. Weapon systems were being charged. Supplies were being loaded. It was the largest military deployment in human history. Sujin stood in the command center, watching the preparations on dozens of screens. She felt the weight of what was coming. Thousands of lives in her hands. The future of humanity's place in the galaxy. General Dongho joined her. "Are you ready for this?" "Does it matter?" she replied. "We have to be ready. Those people on Horizon 7 were counting on us to protect them. We failed. Now we have to make it right." "We'll make it right," Dongho said. The Verath have never faced anything like what's coming for them. Across Earth, people were learning what had happened. The news spread through every city, every home, every corner of the planet. A human outpost attacked. 26 dead, 21 prisoners. An alien empire calling humanity weak. And everywhere, the reaction was the same. Anger, determination, unity. People who had never thought about the military were volunteering to serve. Factories that made civilian goods were switching to military production. Scientists were offering their expertise. Everyone wanted to help. Everyone wanted to show the galaxy that humanity would not be pushed around. On the flagship Indomitable, Commander Ji Hae-yoon received her orders. She was one of the best tactical minds in the fleet, a woman who had won every war game she had ever participated in. Now, she would face a real enemy. She gathered her senior officers and briefed them on the mission. When she finished, her weapons officer, Lieutenant Sun-ho Park, raised his hand. "Commander, do we know anything about Verath defensive capabilities?" "Intelligence is still gathering data," Ji-hae replied. "But it doesn't matter. Whatever they have, we'll break through it. These people took our citizens. They killed our people. They will answer for that." 3 days after the attack on Horizon 7, the fleet was ready. 200 ships, carrying 50,000 personnel, armed with the most advanced weapons humanity had ever created. They gathered in formation near Earth, a wall of metal and fire pointed at the stars. Admiral Sujin stood on the bridge of her command ship, looking out at the fleet. She opened a channel to all ships. "This is Admiral Sujin Lee. In a few hours, we will jump to Verath space. We will face an enemy that believes we are weak. An enemy that believes we will not fight back. An enemy that believes they can kill our people and take our territory without consequence." She paused, letting the words sink in. They are wrong. They wanted to know what humanity is capable of. Now, we will show them. We will show them that every human life matters. We will show them that we protect our own. And we will show them that attacking Earth's children is the last mistake they will ever make. She closed the channel and turned to her navigation officer. "Set course for Verath space. Maximum speed." The fleet jumped to faster than light speed and vanished into the darkness. Earth had answered. The journey through uncharted space took 6 days. 6 days of preparation, planning, and waiting. Commander Ji Hae-yoon spent most of that time in the tactical room of the Indomitable, studying everything they knew about the Verath Dominion. Chief Analyst Mireille Kwan was her constant companion during those days. Mireille had spent her entire career studying alien civilizations, trying to understand how they thought and how they fought. Now that knowledge would be put to the test. "The Verath have conquered 12 star systems," Mireille explained, pointing to the holographic map. "Every species they encountered, they defeated. They use overwhelming numbers and psychological warfare. They try to break their enemies before the battle even begins. But they've never faced us," Ji-hae said. "No. And based on their communications, they don't think we're a threat. They believe all species are inferior to them. It's not just arrogance, it's their entire worldview." Ji-hae nodded slowly. That was useful information. An enemy who underestimated you was an enemy who made mistakes. In the fighter bay, pilot Dae-Sung-Oh was running his squadron through drills. He was a young man, only 28, but he had more flight hours than anyone else in the fleet. He had grown up in the sky, first on Earth, and then in space. Flying was not just his job, it was who he was. His squadron was made up of 20 pilots, each one hand-picked for this mission. They flew the newest interceptors Earth had ever built, fast and deadly, and equipped with weapons that could cut through anything. "Listen up," Dae-Sung told his pilots. "When we drop out of FTL, we're going to be in enemy territory. The Vareth will come at us with everything they have. They'll try to overwhelm us with numbers, but numbers don't win battles. Skill wins battles. Precision wins battles. And we have more of both." The pilots nodded, their faces serious. They knew what was coming. They were ready. On the bridge of the command ship, Admiral Soo-Jin Lee received updates from across the fleet. Every ship was ready, every weapon was charged, every crew member knew their role. This was the moment they had been preparing for. She opened a channel to Commander Ji-Hae. "Status report. All tactical plans are finalized," Ji-Hae replied. "We've developed a 3-phase assault. Phase 1, electronic warfare. We'll hit their communications and sensors hard, blind them before they know what's happening. Phase 2, divide their fleet. We'll use precision strikes to take out their command ships and break their formation. Phase 3, push through to the planet. And if they have defenses we don't know about, then we adapt. That's what we do." Soo-Jin allowed herself a small smile. She had chosen Ji-Hae for this mission because the woman never stopped thinking, never stopped planning, never stopped finding ways to win. The Varath had no idea what was coming for them. Lieutenant Sun-Ho Park was in the Weapons Control Center, running final checks on the fleet's armaments. He was young for his position. Only 25. But he had earned it through perfect accuracy and perfect discipline. He never missed. He never hesitated. "All kinetic batteries are online," he reported. "Missile systems are loaded and ready. Energy weapons are charged to full capacity." "Good," Ji-Hae said through the comm. "When we drop out of FTL, I want the first volley away within 60 seconds. Don't give them time to react." "Understood, Commander." "They won't know what hit them." The final hours passed slowly. People wrote messages to their families back on Earth, messages that would only be sent if they didn't come home. People checked their equipment one last time. People sat quietly with their thoughts. Then the countdown began. "All ships, prepare for FTL exit," Admiral Soo-Jin announced. "We drop in 3 minutes." Across the fleet, alarms sounded and crew members took their stations. Screens lit up with tactical data. Weapons systems hummed with power. 200 ships, 50,000 people, all focused on a single point in space. 1 minute. Ji-Hae stood at the center of her bridge, watching the countdown on the main screen. Her heart was beating fast, but her mind was calm. 30 seconds. Dae-Sung gripped the controls of his interceptor, feeling the familiar vibration of the engines beneath him. His squadron was behind him, waiting for his signal. 10 seconds. Sun-Ho's fingers hovered over the firing controls. The targeting systems were locked on the coordinates where the Varath fleet would be. The first shots were already calculated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The fleet dropped out of FTL speed and into the Varath system. For a moment, everything was still. The stars hung in the darkness, cold and silent. Then the sensors lit up with contacts. The Varath defensive stations. The Varath fleet. Over 500 ships, more than twice what the humans had brought. But the Varath were not ready. They had not expected an attack. They had not expected anyone to come this far into their territory. They had not expected humanity to fight back. Phase 1, go, Ji-Hae ordered. The human fleet unleashed a wave of electronic warfare. Signals jammed communications. False data flooded sensors. The Vareth ships suddenly went blind, unable to talk to each other, unable to coordinate. Phase 2. Sunho fired the first volley. Kinetic rounds shot across space at incredible speed, slamming into the Vareth formation before they could raise shields. 3 command ships exploded in the first 10 seconds. Then 3 more. Then 3 more. The Vareth tried to respond. Their ships turned and fired, but their shots went wide, confused by the jamming. They tried to form up, but without communications. Each ship was alone. Fighter squadrons, launch, Jihe ordered. Daesung led his squadron out of the launch bay and into the chaos of battle. The Vareth had fighters too, hundreds of them, but they were scattered and disorganized. Daesung's pilots cut through them like a blade through paper. Stay tight, Daesung told his squadron. Pick your targets, don't waste shots. He rolled his interceptor through a group of Vareth fighters, his weapons blazing. 4 enemies went down before they could react. He had trained for this his whole life. Every drill, every simulation, every hour in the cockpit had led to this moment. The battle spread across the system. Human ships pressed forward, while Vareth ships fell back. The Vareth were used to enemies who ran, who surrendered, who begged for mercy. They had never faced an enemy who pushed harder. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Mireille watched the tactical display with growing confidence. Their formation is breaking, she reported. They're trying to regroup near their defense stations, but we've already taken out half their command structure. Good, Jihe said. Tell all ships to push forward. We don't slow down. We don't give them time to recover. Jihe. We had allow some. Jihe. Zer'll do. The human fleet drove deeper into Vareth space. Defense stations fired on them, but the stations were designed to stop raiders and pirates. Not a full battle fleet. Human ships returned fire and reduced the stations to debris. Admiral Sujin watched the battle from her command ship, making decisions, giving orders, coordinating the movements of 200 vessels. She had fought in simulations and war games, but nothing could truly prepare someone for the reality of combat. The chaos, the noise, the lives, depending on every choice. Admiral, her communications officer said, we're receiving a transmission from the Vareth fleet commander. Put it through. The screen flickered, and a Vareth face appeared. It was not Supreme Krell, but another commander, his scales dark with stress. Humans, the commander said, you cannot win this battle. Our reinforcements are coming. Surrender now, and we will spare your lives. Sujin leaned forward. Your reinforcements will find only wreckage when they arrive. Your fleet is broken. Your defenses are falling. And we're just getting started. She cut the transmission. All ships, she announced, increase speed. We break through to Vareth Prime within the hour. The fleet surged forward. Vareth ships tried to block them, tried to slow them down, but nothing worked. The humans were too fast, too coordinated, too determined. Daesung's squadron cleared a path through the last line of defense. His pilots had lost 2 of their own, but they had destroyed over 50 enemy fighters. The cost was high, but the mission was everything. Path is clear, Daesung reported. Fleet has a direct line to the planet. Jihe looked at the main screen. Vareth Prime hung in the darkness ahead of them, a world of red continents and gray oceans. The heart of an empire that had conquered 12 star systems. Signal the Admiral, she said. We're in position. On the command ship, Sujin received the message. She looked at the planet on her screen, thought about the people who lived there, thought about the prisoners who were being held there. She opened a channel to the entire fleet. All ships, hold position. We have reached Vareth Prime. The next phase begins now. The human fleet hung in orbit around the enemy homeworld, weapons ready, waiting for the order. The galaxy was about to see what happened when you attacked humanity. Supreme Krell stood in his command center on Vareth Prime, watching the human fleet on his screens. He had not believed the first reports. He had not believed that the weak, soft humans would actually come to his world. But here they were. 200 ships in orbit, their weapons pointed at his planet. He felt something he had never felt before. It took him a moment to recognize it. Fear. But he pushed the feeling down. He was Supreme Krell, conqueror of worlds, destroyer of species. He would not be afraid of prey. He activated his communication system and broadcast a message to the human fleet. Humans, you have made a terrible mistake. You think you can threaten the Varath Dominion? You think you can come to our world and demand surrender? You are wrong. We hold your people. We hold your precious scientists. If you do not retreat immediately, we will execute them all. He ended the transmission and waited. Surely the humans would back down now. Surely they would not sacrifice their own people. On the command ship, Admiral Sujin Lee listened to the message with a cold expression. She had expected this. She had prepared for it. She opened a return channel. Supreme Krell. I am Admiral Sujin Lee of the United Earth Fleet. You attacked our people. You killed our citizens. You took prisoners. Now you threaten to execute them. I will give you one chance. Release our people unharmed, and this ends here. Refuse, and your world burns. There was a long pause. Then Krell's voice came back, filled with contempt. You dare threaten me? I will show you what we do to threats. The transmission changed to a video feed. 3 human prisoners were brought before the camera. They were bound and beaten, their faces bloody. A Varath soldier stood behind them with a weapon. Watch, humans, Krell said. Watch what happens to those who defy us. The soldier fired. The 3 prisoners fell. On the command ship, Sujin's hands tightened into fists. Around her, the bridge crew went silent. The weight of what they had just witnessed pressed down on all of them. Admiral, her communications officer said quietly. Your orders? Sujin's voice was like ice. Begin planetary bombardment. Military targets only. Show them what we are capable of. The fleet opened fire. Precision strikes rained down on Varath Prime. Military bases exploded. Weapons factories collapsed. Government buildings crumbled. The humans targeted every piece of military infrastructure they could identify, and they did it with perfect accuracy. The Varath had never experienced anything like it. Their ground defenses fired back, but the human ships were too high, too fast, too well shielded. Their fighters tried to launch, but Daesung's squadron was waiting for them, cutting them down before they could reach orbit. On the surface, Varath soldiers ran through the streets, trying to find shelter, trying to organize a defense. But there was no defense against what was happening. The sky itself was falling on them. Supreme Krell watched his world burning and felt the fear grow stronger. This was not how it was supposed to happen. This was not how it had ever happened before. Signal our colonies, he ordered. Tell them to send reinforcements. Supreme, his aide said. Communications are jammed. We cannot reach anyone. Krell slammed his fist against the console. These humans, these prey, were destroying everything he had built. While the bombardment continued, a different mission was underway. Sergeant Major Junsuk Ryu led a strike team in a dropship heading for the surface. Their objective was the detention facility where the Horizon 7 prisoners were being held. Junsuk was a veteran of 15 years in Earth's ground forces. He had fought in conflicts across human space, and he had never lost a mission. He did not plan to start now. 30 seconds to landing zone, the pilot announced. Junsuk checked his weapon one more time. Listen up, he told his team. We go in fast, we secure the prisoners, we get out. No mistakes. These people have been through enough. The dropship touched down outside the detention facility. Junsuk was first out the door, his weapon up, scanning for threats. The building was a squat, ugly structure, surrounded by walls and guard towers. Vareth soldiers were already moving to defend it. Contact front, Junsuk said calmly. Engage. The strike team moved forward, their weapons firing in controlled bursts. The Vareth fought back, but they were outmatched. Human armor was better. Human weapons were better. Human training was better. Junsuk led the way through the main entrance, clearing rooms one by one. The Varath soldiers inside fought hard, but they were not prepared for a human assault team. They had never faced anything like this. Medic Hana Lim followed close behind the assault element. She was there to treat the wounded, to save lives, to bring people home. Her medical kit was heavy on her back, but she did not mind. Every piece of equipment was a chance to help someone. Prisoners are on the lower level, Junsuk reported, checking his tactical display. Moving down, they pushed deeper into the facility. More Vareth soldiers. More fighting. But the humans did not stop. They were too determined, too focused, too angry. They found the prisoners in a large cell at the bottom of the building. 18 survivors from Horizon 7, including Dr. Yuna Park, Engineer Jisoo Han, and Dr. Minho Choi. They were injured and weak, but they were alive. Yuna looked up as the door opened and saw human soldiers. She felt tears forming in her eyes. You came, she whispered. Junseok knelt beside her. We came. It's over. We're taking you home. Hana moved through the prisoners, checking injuries, providing treatment. Most of them were suffering from wounds and malnutrition. But they were stable. They would survive. Can you walk? Junsuk asked Yuna. I can do whatever I need to do, she replied. Junsuk helped her to her feet. Good. Because we need to move. This building is not going to be standing much longer. As they were leaving, Yuna grabbed Junsuk's arm. I know where Krell is. I heard the guards talking. He has a command center in the capital. If you take him out, this war is over. Junsuk nodded and relayed the information to the fleet. On the command ship, Admiral Sujin received the coordinates. She looked at the map and made her decision. Target the command center, she ordered. In his command center, Supreme Krell watched the last of his defenses fail. His fleet was destroyed. His military was shattered. His world was in ruins, and now the human ships were turning their weapons toward him. He thought about running. He thought about hiding. But there was nowhere to go. The humans had come too far, too fast. They had been too thorough. He activated his communication system one last time. This is Supreme Krell to the human fleet. I surrender. I will release the remaining prisoners. I will accept your terms. Just stop the bombardment. No bar. There was a long pause. Then a voice came back. It was the Admiral. You had your chance to surrender. You chose to execute prisoners instead. This is the consequence. The command center exploded in a ball of fire. Supreme Krell died without ever understanding what had happened. Without ever understanding that he had been wrong about humanity. On the surface, Junsuk's team reached the extraction point with all 18 prisoners. The dropship was waiting for them, engines running, ready to lift off. Yuna looked back at the burning city one last time. She thought about the colleagues she had lost, the friends who would never go home. She thought about Captain Teho, who had died, defending them. We'll remember them, Jisoo said quietly beside her, as if reading her thoughts. We'll make sure everyone remembers. Yuna nodded. Yes, we will. They boarded the dropship and lifted off. Below them, Vareth Prime was covered in smoke and fire. The heart of an empire that had conquered 12 star systems was now broken. As the dropship rose toward orbit, Hana treated the prisoners' wounds and tried to make them comfortable. She was tired, but she was also proud. They had done what they came to do. They had brought their people home. Junsuk sat in the corner, cleaning his weapon. The mission was complete. The prisoners were safe. Supreme Krell was dead. But he knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy had seen what humanity could do. Now, everything would change. In orbit, The bombardment continued for another 6 hours. Every military target on Varath Prime was destroyed. Every weapon, every ship, every piece of military infrastructure. When it was over, the Varath Dominion had no ability to threaten anyone ever again. But Admiral Sujin gave clear orders throughout. Military targets only. Civilian areas were to be spared. Hospitals, schools, homes, these were not to be touched. We are not them, she told her commanders. We destroy their ability to make war. We do not destroy their people. One. When it was finally over, the human fleet held position in orbit. 200 ships. Battered, but victorious. Behind them, Varath Prime smoldered. Ahead of them, the galaxy watched. Humanity had answered. The news spread across the galaxy faster than light could travel. Every spacefaring civilization, every empire, every alliance, heard the same story. The Varath Dominion had attacked a human outpost. They had killed scientists and taken prisoners. And humanity had responded by erasing their military completely. On 100 different worlds, leaders gathered to discuss what had happened. Some were afraid. Some were impressed. All of them were paying attention. Ambassador Kyung-ho Nam arrived at the Galactic Assembly 3 days after the battle ended. The assembly was the closest thing the galaxy had to a united government, a place where species met to discuss trade and treaties and disputes. Now, they had something new to discuss. Kyung-ho was a diplomat by training and by nature. He believed in cooperation, in finding common ground, in building bridges, but he also understood that sometimes you had to show strength before you could show kindness. He stood before the assembly, surrounded by representatives from dozens of species. Some of them had never seen a human before. All of them were waiting to hear what he would say. Representatives of the Galactic Assembly, Kyung-ho began. I come before you today, not to threaten, not to demand, but to explain. 3 weeks ago, the Varath Dominion attacked a peaceful research station in our territory. They killed 26 of our citizens. They took 21 prisoners. They broadcast a message to the galaxy calling humanity weak. He paused, letting the words settle. We are not weak. We do not seek war. We do not seek conquest. But we will protect our people. We will defend our territory. And we will answer any attack with whatever force is necessary. This is not a threat. This is a promise. The chamber was silent. Then, slowly, one of the representatives raised a hand. Ambassador Nam, the alien said, you have destroyed an entire civilization's military. You have left their world in ruins. How can we trust that you will not do the same to us? Kyung-ho nodded. It was a fair question. We did not attack the Varath because they were different from us, he said. We did not attack them because we wanted their resources or their territory. We attacked them because they killed our people, and we were careful to target only their military, their civilians, their homes, their hospitals. These were not touched. We made a distinction between combatants and innocents. That is who we are, another representative spoke up. But you have shown us what you are capable of. You have shown us that you can reach any world, defeat any fleet. How are we supposed to feel safe? You are supposed to feel safe, Kyung-ho replied. Because we have no interest in harming anyone who does not harm us. We are scientists and engineers, teachers and doctors, farmers and builders. We explore, we create, we learn. Violence is not our nature. But when our children are threatened, we will not hesitate. Any species that understands the desire to protect its own will understand this. The chamber fell silent again. Then, from the back, a representative stood. It was from a species the humans had never met before. A small civilization on the edge of known space. Ambassador, the alien said, my people have lived in fear of the Varath Dominion for generations. They have raided our worlds, taken our resources, enslaved our people, and we were too weak to stop them. What you did, you have freed us. You have freed many of us. Kyung-ho bowed his head. We did not fight for conquest. We fought for justice. But if our actions have helped others, then perhaps something good has come from this tragedy. After the assembly meeting, several representatives approached Kyung-ho privately. They wanted to discuss trade agreements, mutual defense treaties, cultural exchanges. Humanity's victory over the Verath had not just protected Earth. It had opened doors across the galaxy. But Kyung-ho knew that not everyone was friendly. Some species were already building up their military forces, preparing for a future where humanity might become an enemy. The galaxy was not suddenly safe. It was just different. Back on Earth, the survivors from Horizon 7 were returning home. Their ship landed at a military base outside Seoul, where their families were waiting. There were tears and embraces and whispered words that no one else could hear. Dr. Yuna Park walked down the ramp slowly, her body still weak from weeks of captivity. Her parents were there, and her brother, and her best friend from university. They held her and cried. And for a few moments, the war and the galaxy and the politics all faded away. Later that day, Yuna was asked to testify before the United Earth Council. She sat in the great chamber, surrounded by the leaders of humanity, and told them what had happened. She told them about the attack, about the friends she had lost, about the fear and the pain and the hope that Earth would come for them. Captain Tae-ho Kim died defending us, she said, her voice steady. He knew we couldn't win. He knew help was too far away. But he fought anyway. Because that's who he was. He believed in something bigger than himself. He believed in us. She paused, collecting her thoughts. When I was in that cell, I didn't know if anyone would come. I didn't know if anyone even knew we were there. But I believed. I believed that Earth would not abandon us. And I was right. She looked around the chamber at the faces of the counselors. What you did, sending the fleet, rescuing us, stopping the Verath, it matters. It matters not just for us, but for everyone in the galaxy. You showed them what humanity is. You showed them that we protect our own, and you showed them that we are not afraid. The chamber erupted in applause. Chancellor Yoonji Kang rose and embraced Yuna. It was a moment that would be replayed on screens across Earth and beyond, a symbol of what humanity had endured and overcome. Admiral Sujin Lee did not attend the ceremony. She was at the military cemetery outside the capital, standing before the graves of the 29 who had died 26 at Horizon 7, 3 executed by the Verath. The names were carved in stone. Tae-ho Kim, Jimin Yu, Hae-jin Sun. Names that would be remembered as long as Earth existed. Sujin stood in silence for a long time, the wind pulling at her uniform. She thought about the decisions she had made, the lives she had ended, the lives she had saved. Victory was not clean. It was not simple. It came with weight, with cost, with questions that would never have easy answers. General Dong-ho Shin came to stand beside her. You did what you had to do, he said. I know, she replied. But I'll carry it with me for the rest of my life. I think that's the point. If it were easy, we'd be no better than they were. That evening, Chancellor Yoonji Kang addressed the people of Earth. Her speech was broadcast to every continent, every city, every home. Citizens of Earth, she began. We have passed through a trial. We have lost friends and loved ones. We have seen the best and worst of what the galaxy has to offer. And we have shown everyone who is watching what humanity truly is. She paused, looking into the camera as if she could see every person listening. We are not conquerors. We are not destroyers. We are explorers, dreamers, builders, but we are also protectors. We protect our families, our friends, our children. We protect the people who go out into the darkness to learn and discover and grow, and we will never, ever, abandon them. The Verath Dominion believed we were weak because we were few. They learned the truth. Every human life is protected by the full might of Earth. Every human life matters. And anyone who forgets this will be reminded, as the Verith were reminded. Let us hope we never need to teach that lesson again. But let us also remember that we are ready if we do. On the frozen moon of Kepler 442b, construction crews were already at work. Research Station Horizon 7 was being rebuilt, bigger and stronger than before. New shields, new defenses, new communications arrays that would reach Earth in minutes instead of days. And a new crew was being assembled. Scientists and engineers who wanted to continue the work that had been started. People who knew the risks and chose to go anyway. Dr. Una Park was not among them. She had decided to stay on Earth, at least for now. She needed time to heal, time to grieve, time to figure out what came next. But she had made one request, and the council had granted it. On the wall of the new station's main corridor, there was a memorial. 26 names carved in metal, with a message above them. They gave their lives in the pursuit of knowledge. They are not forgotten. They are why we go on. In her apartment in Seoul, Una looked out at the city lights and thought about the future. The galaxy knew about humanity now. Some species would want to be friends. Some would want to be enemies. Everything was changing, but some things would stay the same. Humans would still explore. They would still reach for the stars. They would still send their children out into the darkness to learn what was there. And if anyone tried to harm them, Earth would answer. Una closed her eyes and whispered a name. Taeho. Then she turned away from the window and began to plan. There was work to be done.